Hate yourself.
I'm not gonna let some stupid monsters stand in my way.
Welcome to the Percy Jackson and the Olympians Season 2 press conferences. Our first press conference will be with cast members Walker Scobell, Leah Sava Jeffries, and Diemer. We'll start the session shortly, but in the meantime, if you have any questions, please submit via chat. If you could do that now, I will ask the questions for you. This session will be 15 minutes long. We have our first question here. It's Ashley Saunders from Big Gold Belt. This question is for Walker and Daniel. Percy and Tyson's relationship has its ups and downs, mostly with Percy learning to accept Tyson as not only a friend, but a brother. How did you go about developing that bond off screen? Because in just the first 4 episodes, you can really see how close these two characters are.
Yeah. Honestly, it's like with these things, I find that the chemistry is kind of like there or isn't. It's really hard to manufacture. We did a bunch of prep with our acting coach, and so like the month that we had in prep, I think really helped us kind of get to know each other better. But I mean, even off the top, just from the chemistry reads, it was really obvious that we both loved the books, loved the project, and we're really passionate about kind of bringing it together in as like special a way as we could. And so at least for me, that was something that really kind of like felt like this could be another home for me. And it wasn't something I'd be having to fight against my coworkers to try and do what I want to do. And so that made it really, really cool, really, really quickly.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, it's not, it's kind of just there or it isn't, you know, and I feel like it was just there right away and we didn't have to work too hard to find it on screen, you know?
Perfect. Our next question is from Christopher Gallardo from Popternative. This is for all 3 of you. Percy, Annabeth, and Tyson really get into some explosive scenes, especially on the Princess Andromeda. How would you compare doing the choreography and stunts for those character-centric sequences to season 1, like the moments with Medusa and Achita?
I think the difference, first of all, not only because we have more stunts and just more practice this season. We still want to be book accurate and follow what stunts might have been in the books, but we also want to add a little bit of our own thing to it. The difference definitely is it's still the amount of monsters, but at the same time, it's more fights between the demigods. I feel like this season there was a lot where it was demigods fighting against monsters, but in the second season, the intensity is not just intense by itself, but it's also because it's fighting against your own kind. And I think that's one of the big differences of season 1 to season 2, because it's like, oh, these kids, they're going on a quest to, survive. But now, since we find out that Luke has left and there's a bunch of other kids that have changed as well, it's now like, fight against your own family.
Yeah, they really started to like lean into the like the demigods that betrayed camp and that whole part of the story that wasn't really talked about too much in the second book, you know?
Yeah.
Perfect. And from Cherry Davis, Cherry, Los Angeles, what was your favorite scene and what was the most challenging?
It's hard to pick a favorite scene.
I think one of my favorites, and I think especially since it's not a spoiler, would be the chariot races. I think just being able to have like a set that's been built so massive, but to be able to have is a lot of practical elements in the action, between like the horses and then also the rigs that they built for us when we were on the chariots on the mechanical side of things, was just such an incredible experience. And to be able to have an action sequence that spanned like weeks of filming for me was kind of crazy. It was very much a first. Loved every moment of that for sure.
Yeah. I think it's hard. You can't really pick like a least favorite. You know what I mean? There's only days that are like harder than others. So I think some of the days that were hardest were like the ones in the Ironclad. because it was pouring rain and there were fans blowing it in our faces, and they had these massive water jets and they're shooting it at us, and it wasn't one of those things that like you can just get done. Like, we had to do it, like shoot an entire week, and then they had to take the entire ironclad apart, tilt it 8 degrees, and then we had to shoot the whole second half of it. So it was like kind of a long time to shoot in weather conditions like that, I guess.
I think like Daniel said, there's or Walker and Daniel. There's not you can't really pick a favorite, but also at the same time, I love the chariots. Um, More for me, it's not like what favorite scene, but more like what was the favorite set. I feel like, because there's so many different scenes filmed in like the same sets. Obviously, I when you watch it, you always think that Camp Half Blood will be your favorite to film just because of all the graphics. But if you're talking about actually when you're filming right then and there and there is no editing, it has to be the chariots because, again, like just to connect, like it's the most practical and it's um, the little kind of like game connection. You know, when you're playing a game and if you go too far out of bounds and stuff, you just get stuck. That's how it felt with like the volume stage back then, but now with the chariots and stuff, I can go as far as I want to and just get to explore everything. And I feel like that was the best because on and off of filming, I was able to just connect with it and get more into the character.
All right, this one's from John Kirk from originalcin.ca. This is for all of you. What's it like to have the creator of the series present to work with on this adaptation?
I think it's really. Oh wait, unless you guys want to.
No,
Go.
take it.
Are you sure? No, no. Did you want to?
Yeah.
Are you sure? Okay. I'm like, wait. But I think it's really it's like it's a true blessing basically. Like I think it's already great enough that we have so many good producers and everything on this show helping the book come together into a live action thing. But to actually have Rick, who created it, be with you're asking about Rick, right? Is that what the thing? Okay, good. I'm like, 'cause I'm getting like, I feel you guys are smiling so much. I'm like, am I saying the craziest thing? But I think just having Rick actually there and being able to ask him questions that he knows for sure and stuff. It's and for him to be proud of it, then for Rick to be proud, that's how you know you're doing good because he's the one that created it. He's the one that had all this imagination and to be able to work and satisfy and please Rick and when he's happy and stuff, it makes me even more happy because I know that this is gonna do great when it comes out to other people.
Yeah, he's an interesting way of. I like the way he looks at it. It's like, when we're on set, I always have to go up to him and ask him questions like that I have about like the books or like the different like pronunciation things, and he's very like it's up to you. You know what I mean? He kind of writes the book and then it's kind of just out there for everyone to decide. And I think that's like really interesting. It kind of leaves it all up to your interpretation in a way, you know?
I agree.
Daniel, you want to answer on that one or?
Yeah, I mean, again, like exactly like I said, I think it's really special. I mean, for me, it's been a book that's been in my life since I was 13 years old. So to be able to have that much history with a world like this, and to be able to kind of meet him and be able to have that kind of voice behind, to be able to like they said, to bounce things off of, but also just to be able to know that everything's kind of being taken care of. That I think there's a lot of adaptations that struggle to really honor the original source material, and it's kind of being used to create some sort of like kind of buzz around a new project, but really they want to do their own thing. And so I think for me, it was just such a relief to be able to go into a project knowing that the creator was involved, that everybody was having conversations around everything, whatever changes were made, what things stayed completely true to the books. So yeah, it allowed us to just relax, and at least for me, it was such an exciting thing being able to just meet him in person as well.
This next one's from Victor Lucas from Electric Playground. For all of you, did working on season 2 feel like a different experience than season 1?
Very
Yeah, Daniel had a very different time on season 1.
much more involved. Just
Oh my
great.
God. um,
Go ahead.
no, go.
I was just gonna say it definitely feels a little bit different, but to some degree, it's like it feels like we kind of had a little, long weekend, and we stepped right back into season 2. Even though it was a pretty big break, it like the first day on set just felt like, not a lot of time had passed at all. So in some ways, yes, like, looking around, everyone looks a little bit older, but uh, not too much, not too different, A lot of the same crew. So showing up every day felt the exact same in a good way.
Yeah. I'm so okay. So basically, I don't know why I thought I it was going, but in my opinion, I feel like it was kind of a lot different. In my way, I feel like it definitely changed a lot when I saw Walker, though, because of the height difference. Because I hadn't seen you in so long, obviously, because also we live on two opposite sides of the country. So it's like it wasn't just like, hey guys, you want to like go hang out and stuff during this big hiatus break, basically. But I feel like that was a huge difference because it's just like we're coming back, even though I know these people. It's like I don't know. It felt like when I was filming the series, it didn't really feel like the series until season 2 had got renewed. It felt like just like a really long movie, kind of. And obviously, when it came out, you knew it was a series, but it just felt like a really long movie. And when it renewed, that's when I was like, okay, this is really something that's gonna keep going and keep going. And I feel like also the big difference was um, I think I just couldn't remember a lot in the first season. So when I came back and stuff, we also had kind of switched things around because we were in a different side of the set. So like the schoolroom and things was different. So I feel like that's what also changed because it was like we came back with same people but like different areas of it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But
We're in a different place.
yeah, it was kind of like 50-50. It was a lot different, but it also wasn't. It's kind of
Yeah.
what you said.
Daniel, you got anything to?
I think you guys nailed it. Yeah. That's good.
All right. The next one's from Joe I'm saying that wrong. Vanorini from Cherry the Geek TV. Can you give some examples from season 2 of scenes that you were filming where you made a mental note? Wow, I can't wait to see what this looks like in its completed form.
It's really
So much, so much. I mean, anything with special effects for me. It gets because I think a lot of the time when you're kind of doing the more emotional, kind of character-based scenes, again, a lot of the stuff with Walker between Percy and Tyson, you kind of get a very, very good idea of what it's going to look like by then, just through the process. But working on a show that is so special effects heavy, always super exciting being able to kind of go in and just imagine the world, but also knowing that you got a massive, incredible team behind you, that's gonna build it all out for real. I mean, even watching the trailer, kind of seeing all these different aspects was so cool. So I'm very excited for everybody to see kind of everything else. But yeah, the Princess Andromeda, I mean, going on all the boats. I think the special effects with anything related to fire or kind of the water stuff was also really exciting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. Seeing your face.
That also was a big part of it. Yeah.
Trying to imagine that was like so difficult, but I think it like worked out totally great.
I love it so far. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was I just remember thinking we were doing like an emotional scene and like I was nervous because he was doing such a good job and I didn't want them to like take that away with the eye. Do you know what I mean? But it kind of, if anything, enhanced it a little bit. You know what I mean?
I totally agree. I think, yeah, I know this is slightly off the question, so hopefully it's not too much, but I think building out the character, a lot of the kind of emotional aspects of the character, we were trying to like find a line of building out so that it would work with an eye. And so I think we had conversations around it was like, but it was like, how do I push the energy so that when kind of it all comes together on screen, you're able to kind of see that through just the physicality, the expression, but also not push it too far and then make it kind of weird for us when we're working together with the actual day-to-day work where I do have two eyes. But I thought that they did a great job with trying to with retaining all that emotional aspect as well.
Yeah.
And I think that what was the question again? Wait, the question was
Special effects, like the visual
Or like,
effects.
or anything that you were really excited to see.
oh,
after.
yes. I'm gonna say episode 5 in total. But I think the siren scene, I'm just really proud of how it came out. Like when it comes out and stuff, like I have so many behind the scenes photos of just like how big the set was. And also it was outside, but the way how it was just built, it was so beautiful basically. And in a very humble way of saying this, I'm very proud that I was able to still imagine so much of it, even though a lot of it was blue screen. And like I don't want to say like, oh yeah, I'm very proud of myself, like I did this and that, but no, like yeah, guys, I know what I did, but no, I think like I'm just generally just happy because I feel like I tried to work very hard to make that seem as true as possible and things, and I am really excited to see it because me personally, even though I filmed it, I just haven't seen it how it looks in total, so I'm really excited for that, and you guys too to see it.
Perfect. This next one's from Pat Bulfamonte from the Montiverse. To Daniel, what were the challenges of bringing such a uniquely layered character like Tyson to life?
Yeah. Oh, that's a great question. I think it was just trying to figure out the order of how to build the character. I think, again, I'd read the books, I'd been such a fan. And so from the moment I got the first audition, I knew kind of the center of what I wanted to build him around, from the kind of the vulnerability, this innocence, this just build him out from a character that's full of love and kind of heart at the center, and then everything else was trying to build out the Cyclops aspect. So that was mostly came down to physicality. I wanted to make sure that it was kind of like especially because of the younger aspect of Tyson in the books. There's this kind of getting used to his body still. He's been growing like crazy over the last like 7, 8 years. But he's been also on the street. So there's like a getting accustomed to the world that he's in. There's a getting accustomed to his body. And so I really wanted curiosity to kind of be at the forefront. But then with the eye too, it's like, again, like the way that we see the world three-dimensionally is through having two kind of eyes, being able to kind of layer everything together. With only one, depth perception just doesn't exist in the same sort of way. So whenever there was like big action sequences, there's a little bit more. I wanted to make the movements a little bit more careful, as if he's still trying to find his footing. But and then so then kind of like layering that in with like getting a little bit more hunched, a little bit more protective. He's still kind of scared of the world and doesn't want anybody to kind of. I mean, he hasn't been accepted for a very long time. So I think the physicality of bringing that all in really changes kind of how you feel in the moment as well. And so the emotions and kind of the relationships kind of build from just that physical structure. And after that, it was just kind of maintaining the relationships. I think working with these guys, they brought so much to the table every single time, and that made my job so much easier. So it was just like being able to kind of utilize their phenomenal acting and kind of build that relationship as we kind of progress through the season.
Thanks so much. That is it for Leah Walker and Daniel. Up next, we're going to have Aryan Simhadri, Charlie Bushnell, and Dior Goodjohn. Please stay on the link. Their press conference will start shortly.
I gotta stop with my,
Hi, everyone. Welcome to our second press conference with Aryan Simhadri, Charlie Bushnell, and Dior Goodjohn. This session will be up 15 minutes long, and we'll get started here. Our first question is from Lena from Sadisi Lena. I hope you're saying that right. For all of you, how exciting or challenging was it to step into this season where your characters are so much more independent, driven, and dangerous in their own right?
It was quite exciting.
Yeah, it was a bit of both.
Challenging in a very like healthy way. Like I felt like I was being healthily pushed as an actor this season for sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sometimes I feel like I have to catch up to Grover in a lot
Yeah.
of ways, and I think this was I think this season really
Mhm.
like made me realize that. I think.
And
Yeah.
I totally get that. I kind of feel the same way about Clarisse. It's
Yeah.
like finally catching up to where she always has existed mentally. Yeah, I'm into that. That was a
Yeah.
great answer.
But the writing this season and the writers really like
They
gave us
stepped it.
so
They
much
gave us so
much
to work
play
with.
work with,
And they like write it around the way that we talk.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very like detailed and
Yeah.
very tailored to us without stripping any of the essence of the character. Like they did a really amazing job
Yeah.
this season. So yeah, overall I'd say excited.
yeah, it's just like just couldn't wait to be back. It was so good to be back with
Yeah.
everyone. Yeah.
All right. Our next question is from Pat Bulfamonte from the Montiverse to Charlie. You were playing a much different Luke in season 1 up until the finale. How did you approach Luke differently as a performer in season 2, now that we know he stands in conflict of Percy?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, it was to be honest, season 2, I had to really kind of protect my my energy when I was on set for season 2 because I feel like season 1, like the me and Luke's vibe was like
Very
very similar,
similar.
very similar. Like me and Walker would kind of just be goofing off up until they said action, and it was fine, and we could just get right into it. But season 2, like I feel like his energy is just so much more intense than mine normally is. And so I usually I would put my AirPods in and walk around and listen to music and just
Specifically Playboy Cardi and Swan Lake.
yes,
Mhm.
as well as other classical other things. But yeah, I just like I don't know. I needed a minute before we started rolling to get into it. But yeah, I mean, and obviously like just referencing the book, I think was a big thing for me as well. Just going back and reading Sea of Monsters like 2 or 3 times before we started filming, and because even the Sea of Monsters book Luke is so much different than
Then
Yeah.
you know
show.
the Lightning Thief. So, but yeah, sorry, I don't know if this answer is all over the place,
That's a very good and well thought out answer.
but yeah, no, it was just so exciting. It was so exciting and definitely a challenge because I've never really played a character yet with that intensity, but it was a lot of fun.
Perfect. Our next question is from Noah Reed from A Bite of Movies and TV. For Dior, what was the biggest challenge in bringing Clarisse's tough exterior and hidden vulnerability to life?
That's a lovely question. Oh, I love that that's being clocked, first of all. I'm sorry, could you repeat the question one more time? I was just very taken by the fact that
No,
it
of course.
noticed that she was actually a softie on the inside.
What was the biggest challenge in bringing Clarisse's tough exterior and hidden vulnerability to life?
I think the biggest challenge in that was having to be very honest with myself and where I was at in my life, and realizing that I am going through the same experience that Clarisse is going through in the story, and not being afraid to put that on display and put that on camera. I feel like a really fun part and big part for me about being an actor is the fact that you get to shed yourself completely and escape into a completely different world and be an entirely different person. But when it came to Clarisse's story this year, it was hitting very close to home in a lot of aspects. And don't get me wrong, I had an amazing life. I have an amazing life. I had an amazing childhood. But there definitely were some aspects of it, and also too in my current, well, like past tense current life that was happening while we were filming the show that was very eerily similar. And it was a very therapeutic process having to deal with what was at hand for myself and kind of alchemize that and channel it into Clarisse. So not necessarily any, I mean, of course, there were big acting asks. Like, I've never been that vulnerable emotionally on screen before. And I've also, yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. I've never been that vulnerable emotionally on screen before. So there were big asks for acting, but really it was more of a uh, self-sacrifice thing that was going on. And Andrew and you actually too really like helped me get through that. And it was a very, very beautiful experience. It's a core memory. It'll be in my life forever. Like this year and this season changed my life like before it's even come out.
I did not help at all. If anything,
Literally, he was just saying 6'7" at me every time. He was like, "Bro, why are you? Don't do that. You getting emotional? Don't do that."
That
You
wasn't
gotta be
even that wasn't
honest
even
about
around
it.
until that
It wasn't even
until
I
I
just-
created it
until you created it and put me on
at
it.
Dior's birthday party.
Yes,
It's on
he
film.
invented 6'7". It's literally on film.
We
We
have
can
it.
roll the
We
clip
have
somewhere.
proof.
We have proof.
All right. Our next question is from Christopher Gallardo from Popternative. This is for all of you. All of your characters get thrown into some crazy action moments. For each of you, what was the one scene from the book involving your character you were best prepared to handle or thought you were before filming?
The scene that we thought we could do and then got there and was like, oh no.
I think kind of every scene. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's one of the things like when you're up there for that month of
Mhm.
prep that we get, which is such a godsend, and I'm so glad
It's
that we
amazing.
do.
The fact that
Yeah.
we have that is a blessing.
Yeah. But like you get there and you start all this prep and you do all this deep dive, like research into your character, and you run these lines like millions of times in millions of different
You
ways.
feel ready. You're like, okay,
You
yes.
feel ready. And it's weird to think about, like when you go home, you're doing all that prep just so you can get there and not think.
Mhm.
Like I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
it's funny, like the second you start to think as an actor
That's
is
when
like
it
when
takes you
you,
out.
yeah,
That's when
is
you. That's when
you're,
you're acting. You're not
Yeah.
living it.
exactly.
Yeah.
And I think when it comes to scenes from the book, for me personally, I was really excited to do any of the wedding dress stuff. I think I could handle that easy. I'd been watching a ton of like Runaway Bride.
Yeah.
Oh,
The
you
way his little step in the heel was phenomenal. How he walked, it was perfect.
looked right at home.
Yeah.
Just beautiful.
I've never seen you feel like more like yourself. You know?
It's beautiful.
Um, I think also, I mean, just for me, like all the, fights with Percy, I was looking forward to. I mean, the action stuff. It was a funny story. We had like definitely a few weeks of like very intense fighting action sequences, and then ultimately, and I was, a few nicks here and there. Me and Walker made some contact sometimes on accident.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, the one time
Got you.
the one time I actually injured myself in season 2 was when I was putting on a jacket in the scene. Because okay, they wanted me to do it like that, like over,
Yeah.
which
like
I never
like
Put it on
suave.
too cool for
Too
his own
cool.
good, and he
And
hurt
he broke his
himself.
arm.
Well, I just did it like
He didn't break his arm.
20 times, and like I remember on one of the takes, I just boomed like that, and I
Well,
went
'cause-
back and I was like, "Ooh, that didn't feel right."
Well, don't you? Well, I guess that's not a related injury. I was like, don't you also have that one thing for when you were doing the barbell? Did that cause it?
My wrist.
Okay, yeah, that's
Yeah.
not related
That
to
was
your
years
shoulder
ago.
at all.
That was- yeah.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
All right. Our next question is from Joe from Cherry the Geek TV. Aryan, you say Grover's arc is inspired by Penelope's arc from the Odyssey. In what ways do their stories connect? And do you think that Percy and Annabeth are Grover's Odysseus?
That is an incredible observation. They absolutely are his Odysseus. I think one of the things I was really excited about to get to do this season is Penelope's story is something that I feel like not a lot of people talk about, not enough at least.
Yeah.
And it's an incredible example of, however many years ago the Odyssey was written. It's this incredible example of this woman who is not really beholden to do anything that anybody wants her to do. And instead, she is holding her own on this land that is her own. And she's literally just like making all these guys go through all these like dumb tests just so she can like go back to her room and like tear up her wedding dress. And I think that informed a lot of my performance. I hope it did. It's funny because I don't even think Grover is as strong as Penelope is from my very surface level knowledge of the Odyssey. Um, I do absolutely think I was waiting for my Odysseus in Percy and Annabeth. But yeah, I think in the book, in the original Odyssey, Penelope is holding her own just fine.
Our next question is from Ashley Saunders from Big Gold Belt Media. This question's for everyone. The Sea of Monsters gives you a choice of which monster to face. If you're out there on that ship, are you picking, I hope I'm not saying this wrong, Skyla, Chardis, and why?
Scylla for sure, not Charybdis. I feel like
Yeah.
you can really think your way around Scylla, whereas Charybdis, that's just brute force, and you are not winning.
I
Yeah.
had like a bunch of people I was willing to sacrifice, even though I promised them.
You know.
Maybe if like
Great
you,
journey.
me, and then like the rest of the
we
cast,
just need to
and
bring that part.
then Scylla.
Yeah. I think
Scylla.
If I could duplicate these two enough times and then just bring their copies with me onto the boat,
you would then sacrifice.
I would
yourself
then
just to
sacrifice
make sure
them
us survive.
so that I got there.
And so the world has more of
Safely.
us.
Yes.
So
oh, that's
that-
so brave
That's
of you.
so nice.
That's
Thank
so
you.
huge of you.
Aren't I just the best?
So
You guys,
thoughtful.
Something like
so
that.
thoughtful.
best.
You guys should be more like me.
Okay.
Our next question is from Steve from Bionic Buzz. Charlie, Luke is one of the most complex characters in the series. What did you want audiences to understand about this season?
Great question. Yeah, what I love about, what the show has done is obviously the books are all Percy's POV, and so we kind of only get Percy's interpretation of these characters. And I feel like the way Percy views Luke in the show is the exact same as the way
Yeah.
we kind of know Luke in the book.
Yeah.
But it's so much deeper than that. There's so many more layers to that, and I think we really get to see kind of the revolutionary version of Luke in this season, and it becomes very clear that he's doing this like for them, like he's fighting for the people essentially against the system, and he's trying to create this better world, and he just truly believes that he is in the right, and that like this is what he has to do. But I'm losing my train of thought. Sorry.
No,
It's okay.
it's all good.
What was I gonna say? Dang, revolutionary.
We need to get this boy.
I'm sorry. It's
Yeah.
early.
No, it is
I think
early.
it's
It's
like
okay.
just because we are a show, we can explore like the
Exactly.
reasons Luke is doing.
Yeah, yeah. We
Yeah.
we dive much deeper. Like the show expands every character's story and just dives deeper into everyone, um and yeah. So we just get deeper into the reasons why Luke does what he does.
Mhm.
All right, we've got one last question from Susan at entertainmentnews.com. If you could play a different character for one episode for all of you, which character would you play?
I think I would. I just answered this earlier today. I think I would play Luke. That seems like a really fun character
Yeah,
to be able to mess around with.
for sure. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
thinking that during this interview, actually, Luke is like an actor's dream to play because you're
Yeah,
not
yeah.
stagnant in one thing for too long. Like you're constantly challenging yourself. It's like the best in terms with your like cardiovascular health as an actor.
No, it's. I feel like I've played like 4 different characters
Yeah.
already on this show. Like season 1 and then season 2 Luke and then flashback Luke and then even season 3 Luke. I'm not gonna say too
Yeah.
much, but it's still kind of different.
It's all different.
It's all different.
Like you're always getting a little different flavor of the
Yeah,
week.
exactly. But I think for me, I said this at Comic-Con, Grover, because I already have the
goat
walk
walk
down. I
down.
already got the walk down a little bit.
All right, thank you three for this. Up next, we're going to have Rick Riordan. Please stay on the link. Their press conference will start
Oh.
shortly. You guys are going to go back to your
He's
one-on-one.
gonna interview us.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to our third press conference with Rick Riordan. This session will be 15 minutes long, and we're going to get started with a question from Ashley from Big Gold Belt Media. Rick, out of all the crazy moments and big adventures that happen in the Sea of Monsters, which ones were you excited to see be created for the show? Were there any moments that just blew you away with how they were brought to life?
Oh, so many. I mean, the big moments are incredible. The sailing of the ironclad into the Sea of Monsters between Scylla and Charybdis comes immediately to mind. It's incredible. The chariot races, amazing. The scenes on Polyphemus's island, amazing. But honestly, I have to say that the scenes that have stuck with me from season 2 are the quieter ones, the ones of the characters just being together and learning how to trust each other and be a family and be conflicted about their feelings. Those are the ones that impress me the most because the actors are just so great.
All right, our next question is from Noah Reed from A Bite of Movies and TV. When fans finish season 2, what do you hope they walk away understanding about the larger mythology of the series?
I think that I hope they will be very conflicted about whose side is the right side in this conflict. Luke is our antagonist, but he's not wrong about some of the things he's saying. And the gods are not necessarily the best leaders or the best parents. So we should, at this point, be asking ourselves, wow, if I was a demigod, whose side would I choose? And if you're not sure, if you have mixed feelings, then we've done our job. And hopefully you'll be really chomping at the bit for season 3.
All right, our next question is from Tracy Lee Stark from Media 24 South Africa. Does seeing the characters come to life feel surreal? And do they get it right as you imagine them?
Yes, it is a bit surreal. They live in my head and have for what, 20 years now. So seeing them incarnated as actors is always challenging for me to sort of wrap my mind around. But having been involved in the casting, I was able to sort of see all the options, and I am absolutely confident that we have the most incredible team of actors to play these characters. Yes, I'm very pleased, honored that they have decided to live in this world and make these characters their own. They're all incredible people and also just massively talented.
Our next question is from Christopher Gallardo from Popternative. There's a lot more scenes with Clarisse that weren't fully explored in the original book. How do you think expanding the roles of such characters, first with Clarisse, has opened the door to approach other characters in a similar way for the future?
Yes, that's one of the most exciting things about season two is how Dior Goodjohn inhabits that character, makes Clarisse more sympathetic, also more conflicted. We get to see a lot of the things that are happening in the background with her family and how she becomes a leader. And a lot of that, I think the changes are not so much that the scenes are new or different from the book, but they feel more impactful and they feel more vital when you see them on the screen. Just a look from Clarisse can speak volumes. So I think we are telling the same story, but we have the advantage of being able in TV to tell it from different points of view. And so being able to be with Clarisse has really opened up the world and my understanding of it, even as the author. I think I have a lot more sympathy for how three-dimensional her character is, thanks to Dior and the incredible work that she's done.
All right. Susan from entertainmentnews.com asks, how has the way this amazing cast brought your characters to life made you think of the characters in a different way?
It has, in some ways. In some ways, it's just sort of deepened my understanding of who they are. I will say that now, when I'm writing books set in Percy Jackson's world, I have the voices of the actors in my head in a good way, in a way that makes the characters seem more real, more vital to me than perhaps they even were before. And it's difficult to say, what came first, the voice in my head of Percy Jackson or my understanding of his voice now that I've gotten to spend so much time watching Walker Scobell as Percy Jackson and doing such a great job. But it's been fascinating to me to have that experience and to have one form of storytelling cross-pollinate with the other form. And I think both are stronger for it.
All right, our next one is, hi, Rick, I'm Lena. I'm the creator and the host of Only Lena YouTube channel. As a lifelong fan who grew up with these books, I have to thank you for this incredible adaptation. My question is, was there a specific scene or chapter from the Sea of Monsters book that you knew had to adapt perfectly to set this darker, more urgent tone for the rest of the series?
Great question. The one that comes to mind is probably the scene with the sirens when Percy and Annabeth have to sail past their island. And it gets very, very complicated, and there's a lot of emotions there. And that was probably, I knew that the fans of the books, their eyes were going to be on that episode probably more than any other. So we spent a lot of time talking about what that needed to look like, how it needed to feel, if it needed to change, and if so, how, and what needed to be there that was the same as the books. I think it came together really, really well. It's a little bit different simply because the medium is different, and so that always has to be taken into account. But I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to say I think fans of the books are going to be very pleased.
Our next one is from Steve from Bionic Buzz. I really love the Ironclad in season 2. I'm curious, what part of history inspired that ship, and what was it like filming the scenes on board?
Yeah, the set was incredible. I mean, they built a full-size Ironclad, and it's amazing what they can build. and it was rocking back and forth in the waves. I'm glad I wasn't on board because the actors, the stunt people, they were getting thrown around. They were all on cables. It was all very safe, but it didn't look safe. I mean, it was really impressive even before any special effects. It was inspired by the sort of the growth of the ironclad as a war machine during the American Civil War. And in the books, it's more specific to that time period. That's probably because at the time I was still a classroom teacher teaching American history. I was teaching the Civil War, and so I was fascinated with the new technology that led to the Monitor and the Merrimack, that famous Civil War battle at sea. In the series on television, we don't really go into that specifically, but as a form of technology, as a naval weapon, the ironclad is pretty impressive to look at. So yeah, that's your answer, and I think it's one of my favorite scenes.
Our next question is from Noah Reed at A Bite of Movies and TV. Which story elements were you absolute must keeps for you, and which ones surprised you in how they evolved for TV?
Yeah, I mean, I think generally speaking, as long as the story is going the same direction and we're arriving at the same destination, I'm open to talking about different ways of telling the story. Sometimes that can actually be very additive and helpful. The idea that in the books we're in Percy's head 100% of the time, that's not really something you can do, at least not the same way in TV, and I'm not sure it's even a good idea to try. It's better to sort of explore the story from different angles. So where we always start is I will write an outline for the season based on the book, and I will break it into 8 rough episodes, and I'll share that with the showrunners and the writing team. And normally we stick with that outline pretty faithfully. Now, the details may change, or when certain things are talked about may change, but generally speaking, I've already kind of outlined my must-haves. So what you see in the second season, those are them. And what surprised me most about the changes would be some of the flashback scenes. We can dig so much deeper into them, showing Thalia, for instance, with Luke and Annabeth back when they were adventuring together. Some of the most powerful scenes. They're only mentioned in the books, but they really work well. They pop when you see them on the screen.
All right. Our next one's from Christopher Gallardo from Popternative. Despite her state this season, Thalia plays such an integral role in establishing what's called the broken trio. How do you think you've approached establishing that aspect similarly or differently than how you did it in the Demigod Diaries?
Great question. One of the collections where I have a short story told from Luke's point of view, The Diary of Luke Castellan. Yeah, well spotted. I think it is it's the same story. It's the same dynamic, I think. But again, it hits differently when you see it on the screen. I've had some people saying, wait a minute, Thalia's in this season? She doesn't appear until season 3. That's because in the books, you don't see her in present day. And so it doesn't really feel like you know her. However, there are lots of flashbacks in the books. It's just you don't see them. You're not living in the moment with them the way you do in the TV show. I think that's the real difference. So I'm satisfied that Thalia and Luke and Annabeth, their storyline is very, very close to what I originally envisioned. It's simply that, yes, Thalia, seeing her in action, the first time she appears, I got chills. It's like, wow, this young lady is really, really powerful. She is a hero. So the way that it hits does make her seem much more present in the series and in the story as a whole. You're absolutely right.
All right. Our next one comes from Morgan Scenes in Color. What are you the most excited for fans to see this season?
Aside from the guinea pigs, which are pretty cool, I would say probably the way the characters come together. I'm going to go back to that. I mean, I know we have such incredible, fantastic spectacle in this season. It's unbelievable. It feels so much bigger. But I'm always drawn to the moments where we get to see the characters just interacting with each other. I love that. Some of the downtime moments that we get with Percy and Tyson, for instance, some of the moments, anything really with Percy and Annabeth, it's just gold. The way they're learning to trust each other still, to be friends, to sort of figure out where they stand with each other as they're getting older. It's really, really great television and great storytelling. Those are some of my favorites.
All right. Thank you so much, Rick. Just everybody stand by. Up next, we have John Steinberg, Dan Schatz, and Craig Silverstein. Please stay on the link. Their press conference will start shortly. Hi, everyone. Welcome to our fourth and last press conference with John Steinberg, Dan Schatz, and Craig Silverstein. This will be 20 minutes long, and we are going to get started here. Our first question, it's from, hi, I'm Lena from Only Lena YouTube channel. I'm a huge fan of this universe and what you guys have done with it. My question is, visually, season 1 felt very warm and golden, like typical Greek mythology, but season 2 feels distinctly cooler, bluer, and sharper. Was this color palette shift purely because of the ocean setting, or was it deliberate storytelling choice to signal that the golden age of the camp is dying?
I think we go through a few different palettes, though. You haven't seen all of the colors yet.
It's a great question. Yeah, I think there's some stuff that is we obviously think about the color palette and the places that we go, and camp feels like camp, but then there are shifts in the story as the stakes are getting so much greater. But as you see, as sort of they enter the Sea of Monsters, and as it continues on, we do kind of make each place that they go and each person or monster that they face, each one of them has kind of a very distinct look and feel. And that was, the benefit of being able to do a series that has all of these different chapters in it. We were able to really explore this entire universe and constantly shift and adjust. But I also think the stakes are so much greater that it does feel like there's a tonal shift that's happening as they're facing even more life and death stakes. So we adjusted that all throughout the season.
Our next question is from Pat Bulfamonte from the Montiverse. To all three of you, what are the challenges of making a coming of age series while you have to cast that is also coming of age in real time?
I think any show that you're hoping to or any story you're hoping to tell with the variety of tones, I think that this one has. We are asking your actors to be funny, to be vulnerable, to go to emotional places that are really complicated. It's hard to cast. It's hard to write. It's hard to kind of manage all those tones. And I think when you're asking your partners who are giving those performances to do that, who are 14 and 15 and 16 years old and haven't lived a lot of that yet, and certainly are in some cases in one of their first few productions, it's a lot. You're asking a lot. There's no other way to do it, and I think it was important to us that when you're watching a show about kids, there are kids in that show telling the story. But you got to get really lucky and find kids who are able to come to work and give a performance that is so much more mature, I think, than you have any right to expect from someone at that age. And we got really lucky. We've got a number of them, and they are each one. It's hard to sort of point in any one direction. I think the ensemble of them is really a gift, I think, to us in terms of how to tell the story. So I think you couldn't do it any other way, and I think it's a miracle that it actually landed in this place where we're able to do it.
And we need to give a quick shout out to Andrew McElroy, who a lot of people have heard of behind the scenes, who is our acting coach guru, who has really brought this ensemble together, and made them kind of, each member of this cast, really giving them the tools to be responsible for each other and for their scene partners and the commitment to the work. And he has guided them so beautifully, and they are in awe of him. And we're very grateful for having that piece of the puzzle to really make these kids shine.
The other general philosophy is that as they grow up, the show grows up, gets, a little bit darker, a little bit, the stakes keep escalating. People get hurt this season, people die in the next, that kind of thing. So it keeps moving with them, hopefully.
All right. Our next question is from Noah Reed from A Bite of Movies and TV. Was there a character or storyline that became more prominent during development than originally planned?
Sure.
Yeah.
You want to talk about Clarisse maybe and her point of view?
Yeah, Clarisse is an important character for this season, especially because she's the one who gets the quest. And we wanted to follow Clarisse on that quest, and it led to scenes that we were nervous about just because we were pushing past the template that we had, set, right? Where it's like, can we open a show without Percy, right? In for a scene. And those scenes are coming up, and it helps that Clarisse is going to be following in the same footsteps of Percy in terms of getting a quest from the Oracle, prophecy from the Oracle, and then going out and trying to pick her quest mates. But that was something that we knew was important, but we were definitely approached with a lot of care and caution. And ultimately, it's to the good, because there's a whole lot of stories that are happening around Percy. The book tells everything from his perspective, but there are lots and lots of stories happening around, and we wanted to use this medium to expand and capture all of them.
And you can't really do it without the actors like Dior. Dior Goodjohn, who plays Clarisse, has to be able to, carry that frame. And you want to have to invest in her and go on this journey with her. And so once we knew we had the actor that Dior is and what she brings to it, it made it a lot easier. Because the audience is going to really respond to her. You were teased with her, obviously, throughout season 1, but now you really get to fully invest in her arc and what she's going through.
All right. Our next question is from Steve Sievers from Bionic Buzz. Were there any scenes that pushed production or VFX to the limit in season 2?
All of them.
Looking at this poster of
you want to talk about Tyson?
Oh yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I mean, I think the maybe the most complicated visual effects solution for the season is the one that's hopefully the most invisible, is the Tyson's eye. I think you're introducing a new character into an ensemble of people you know very well, and asking him to be the emotional center of it for a moment. That's hard to do for anybody. Then when you're trying to create a character who has to give a very human performance without the benefit of eyebrows, it's hard. It's hard to even think about how to go about doing it. And I think that heading into this, for all of the monsters and the Tempest and the journey they're going on, it's really the emotional, intimate stuff that absolutely has to work, or the whole center falls apart. And I think getting to a place with ILM where they were able to create a new way of thinking about that kind of a solution, and then finding Daniel, who was able to step into that solution and really breathe life into it. My hope is that 10 minutes into the show, you forget that Daniel has two eyes, but that took a lot of work to get there, to create a character that looked that natural and that seamless.
All right. Our next question is from Susan Yeager from entertainmentnews.com. What were your goals for season 2, and do you feel like you accomplished them?
I think, yeah, I mean, obviously, we're excited for the whole world to get to see them, see these episodes, but, you set out to grow with the show, not only just obviously the cast who is growing and maturing, but you're also setting out on, we got to do a season of this show that we're very proud of. And then how do we continue to evolve? How do we better ourselves? How do we learn from everything that happened in season 1 and bring it to a season 2? And so I think there's so many things that we were able to do from all of that background, of having that background of getting to make it again. And the scope, the scale is enormous this year. And it demanded it. The book, and being in the Sea of Monsters demanded that level of eventizing this. And so, what's been crazy is like every episode is like its own movie because the adventure is that large and is that demanding. But we feel like we were able to tackle each one, make each one really specific as these kids go on this really epic journey.
All right, our next one's from Cherry Davis, Cherry Los Angeles. What did you learn from the first season of Percy Jackson that you used for this season?
That's a good question.
It's a really good question.
I mean, I think that the ambition to go deeper into some of the tonal aspects of parents, one of the things I was a huge fan of that John did in the first season was this idea of Percy's mom protecting her kid from the other side of his family so that he retains his humanity as much as possible before that destiny of becoming a demigod comes from him. That's something that I feel was teased out and elevated from the DNA of what's in the books. And that was inspiring. I think that there are other places that we could find where you could go deeper and bring something up out, of that text on top. And also the idea that there are 5 books, right? And that we can pull from all 5, knowing where they're all going, as Rick knew, but didn't, he was writing forward, as he went from book 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, and then, creating that map. Now that those books are out, it's like, well, we all know, what's happening. So we can kind of pick and move threads, back and set things up, in a way. So all that stuff was pretty key, I think.
Yeah, I mean, and I think, and then just the process of learning who these kids are. I think any character that's sort of well constructed is a conversation between the page and the performer, and I think this cast has I think came to us in a place that was shockingly mature, and have just continued to get better. And I think the the process of learning their voices and bringing their personality and their life into these characters, I think too, is something that that has to happen front to back, and is something that I think just continues to add dimension to the story.
Our next question is from Ashley Saunders from Big Gold Belt Media. Out of all the crazy adventures that happened this season, which one was your favorite to see brought to life?
What was your favorite?
I mean, it has to be when the kids enter the Sea of Monsters. I mean, being able, figuring out Scylla and Charybdis, and how to achieve that, was probably one of the greatest collaborations I think any of us have ever seen in our careers, between performance, stunts, special effects, VFX, set builds, the scope and scale of that sequence was, everybody signed on to make it as big and epic and exciting as possible. And I feel like when I look back on that, I get chills when I watched it in the mix, the final sound mix, and got to see it all finished. We felt like, all right, what we had set out to do was delivered here for the audience.
I have a surprising answer because it surprised me is when we were doing the final mix and when everything was coming together on episode 5, CC's. That episode really has everything in it. And it turned out to be my favorite, and I didn't know that when we were writing and shooting it. Just how it all came together with the sirens and everything. That's a really satisfying part of the adventure.
All right, our next one's from Christopher Gallardo from Popternative. The storytelling behind Thalia has a lot more impact in terms of the books, and for Annabeth and Luke. What do you think was the biggest challenge in remaining faithful to the lore while also incorporating your own story elements into those flashbacks?
Well, a lot of that was drawn from Rick's short stories, The Demigod Diaries, where he expanded and talked about the time that young Annabeth, young Luke, and Thalia were on the run together. It's stuff that's referenced in season 1, and so we thought it was appropriate to be able to dip back and show some of that material, so that you hear her name a lot, Thalia, 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 and so the idea to get to see her and see her in action, see what she meant, and see her power, was sort of one of the first things that occurred actually in heading into the adaptation of this second book.
I think the fans of this story are going to be really excited by seeing that story come to life, because that's the benefit of the adaptation, where we can pull from all of these things. We can find that story. You get to invest in what happened and how we got to the place that we're in right now. And what happens when we tell that flashback story is it's really accenting everything that's happening in the present. So they're really talking to each other in a really nice way, and feels really elegantly inserted into this Sea of Monsters story.
Our next one's from Susan Yeager from entertainmentnews.com. Did you feel more pressure heading into season 2, given how successful season 1 was?
Yes. No. There's. I don't know if we think it's pressure. It's more just you're in a place where we're so happy that people have responded the way they have. To season 1, that the fans felt like they were getting the adaptation that they deserved and wanted and hoped for. And so you feel that you want to just keep honoring that you want to find new ways to tell this story while still honoring the books. And I think, I hope that they feel that in this season. There's a lot of everybody who works on this show are massive fans of the books. So we're constantly talking about how to make sure that the DNA is throughout the entire adaptation. And even when we change things, even when we alter the story, that it still feels like it's coming from the essence of why we all fell in love with this story.
All right, we've got one final question from Steve Sievers from Bionic Buzz. What challenges came with building the Ironclad set and filming on it?
The 8-degree tilt.
Like it's a I think it's a 175-foot deck that we built, and then when it actually has to enter the whirlpool of Charybdis, the construction crew had to lift the entire 175-foot deck and put it on this this tilt. It was like 8 degrees,
Yeah.
so that when we're dumping water all over this set, that the water is actually pouring down. And when the cast comes out onto the deck and it is getting pulled into the vortex, that they are actually struggling to walk on this deck. And it was watching the hundreds of guys and gals like lift this set and reconstruct it over like a 3-day period.
Yeah, we had to shoot other stuff while they did this and then get everyone on to
to get and then yeah, we had to test it out and make sure everything was obviously safe, but also that they could actually walk on this and run on it. Was such a massive undertaking, and I think you see it. You can really see it and feel it in the show.
And the cherry on top is that World War II aircraft cannon that Ares is retrofitted with celestial bronze bullets. That's real. That's a real thing.
Gun.
We have somebody who came in who owns that thing, and it's really heavy. And the set, spoiler, it's not made of actual iron. So that was but that thing is
it's the real deal.
So that was a logistic and engineering challenge for sure.
But we always talk about it as like one of that ironclad sequence is one of the greatest collaborations. I said it before, say it again. Like, it was just everybody had to be working in sync, or that thing does not work.
All right. Thank you very, very much, everybody. That concludes our Percy Jackson and the Olympians Season 2 press conference. Thank you all for joining.
Thank you, everyone.
Yes.